Okay, hello. My name is Rick Cook. I'm the professor for this class. This short welcome video actually probably won't end up being that short. The intention of this video is to um, do two things. One, make sure this is the right class with the right professor at the right time in your life. This video is for a class at Fowler High School, a class at Pewamo, Westphalia, and a class at LCC with the more traditional college student that's a freshman in college. It's really critical, even if you're in a high school advantage class, that you recognize this is a choice. You're choosing this class and this professor at this time in your life to do this, and it's taught in that way. It's taught as if you are making this choice. This is not compulsory. High school, you have to go to high school. You have to attend by law. That is not the case with college, and that's a very important philosophical approach or academic mentality or attitude to make sure you are adopting that this is a choice. So I want to explain the class. I want to explain my approach to teaching you to write and how much time this is going to take to make sure it's the right time in your life. I also want to orient you to D2L. So to get to this video, you've already had to get into D2L, but how I use D2L, how you will move through the online class. The class is not asynchronous, meaning you don't just do it by yourself at your own pace. We move through it together, and I want to make sure everyone knows how D2L helps you be successful. So, is this the right class? This class is designed to offer you transferable skills. Okay? So, what I mean by that is the actual class itself is meaningless. Nobody's going to ask you, what did you write in freshman comp? Everybody has to take freshman comp. It's the most taught class in the world, actually, because it's required for every degree at every school. But what people care about is not what you wrote inside of it, but rather, can you be successful in the college curriculums that are so intensely dominated by writing, regardless of the subject, after the class? So, what can you do without me by the end of the class? Not what can you do inside of it with me, but by the end, are you going to be prepared for the insane amount of writing you're going to face through your college career? I regularly continue to take classes. I've been teaching college for 26 years, and I don't let 2 or 3 years go by without taking some college classes. I'm a lifelong learner. But one reason I like taking college classes, and I will often take classes that are undergraduate classes, is to see what kind of writing is being asked of students. I mean, the writing I did in college was a really long time ago, so I want to make sure I'm preparing students for the writing they have to do now. This summer, I took a couple classes at LCC, so I got to experience that as a student. And last year, I mentored a nursing student. He was going through the nursing program, and I really saw every class, every assignment that he had, and I was not surprised, but I continue to be impressed with the extraordinary amount of writing you have to do across subject areas. And that writing needs to be college level. College level writing, as I define it in this course, falls into 4 areas. Is it college level in terms of content? So that means, is it insightful? Is it college level in terms of organization? So that means, is it clear? Is it college level in terms of style, which means, is it concise? Is it college level in terms of mechanics, which means, is it correct? Those 4 areas, content, organization, style, and mechanics, happen to be the 4 areas of the rubric for every essay for this class. We write 3 essays in this class. We'll go into great depth about what those essays are like, what you need to do to be successful. It's the same kind of writing each time. So unlike high school where You had all different kinds of writing, many of it quite meaningless. You have one style of writing that we practice over and over so you can get really good at it. This class approaches writing from the perspective that most writing that you've done up until this point has not been real. And this class will be real writing. So what do I mean by that? Real writing, the only reason someone actually writes, not for an assignment, is to expose insights about a topic. That's its purpose. The purpose of writing is to tell other people what they don't already know about a topic. All writing is built on that. Okay, of course, I'm talking about nonfiction writing. All nonfiction writing is intended to tell people what they already don't know about a topic. And I want you to think about how that's radically different than most high school writing. High school writing is not real. When you're proving that when you're supposed to prove that you read To Kill a Mockingbird by writing about it, that's very easy to fake. And you're not telling the teacher anything the teacher doesn't know about To Kill a Mockingbird. When you're using AI to show that you read Fahrenheit 451, that's not real writing. That's school writing. The purpose of this class is for you to demonstrate you can do real writing. And I'm going to tell you right now, most students can't do it. 95% of my students fail the first essay. And when I say that, 90% of the students end up passing the first essay because they can rewrite it. So real writing is when you are not writing because it's an assignment, but rather writing because you know something and you want other people to know it. That's what we're going to do in this class. Real writing has an extended revision process. Many people in high school write the night before, or AI spits it out for them quickly. You are writing over 16 weeks, and you are trying to see how strong can you make 3 writing projects over that time. This isn't written the night before. This isn't submitted in a high school class with 90 other kids, and you just hope that the teacher doesn't even read it. There's extended revision involved in this process. And real writing has extremely high standards. Most Americans cannot write at this level. We have spent a ton of time in this month, and it's a ton of time and money in this country trying to raise what percentage of American adults have a 4-year degree, and the needle is not moving very much. It's about 36%. So most Americans cannot write at this level. And this class has a very poor passing rate if you average out across all the sections at LCC or anywhere else. Okay, 61% of LCC freshmen fail a class in the fall, and the most commonly failed class is first year writing and first year math. Now, I have a pretty high passing rate, but it's because students really pay attention at the beginning and they self-select. If this class doesn't seem like it makes sense for you, do not choose to take it. The class presumes you can already do some things. Okay, so it presumes that you can write in complete sentences and follow basic grammar rules. It presumes that you can read, learn from the reading, and also when you read, think about how a piece is written, primarily to help you think about how to write your piece. It assumes you can organize a basic essay so you know about introductions and body paragraphs and conclusions, even though I will go over all of that. And it presumes you can use technology to complete basic writing, reading, and researching tasks. So you got to be able to get online. You got to be able to use D2L. You got to be able to use the LCC library online. And you got to be able to use Google Docs. I require students to submit their work in Google Docs. I'll talk about that in more depth. But you need to use your LCC Google account to write essays in this class. Most students cannot already write at the college level. And I say that to people and they're like, geez, this guy is a real jerk. And I'm actually saying to you, you're paying for something you don't know how to do yet. And if you did already know how to do it, you should be pissed off because you're paying for this class. You do not have the writing skills right now that you need to pass. And that's okay. High school does not do a great job preparing people to write. I get to say that because I've taught at high school for 25 years. Okay. Um, my entire career, I've either been a high school English teacher, a high school principal. During all that time, I've been a college instructor. And now, towards the end of my career, all I do is college instruction. And I love it. If you could already write, why would you have to take this class? And when I say write, I mean write at a college level. So if you know, okay, I'm paying money to take this class because I don't yet have these skills, what are your grades going to be like towards the beginning of the class? They're not going to be great. Now, because I'm a real writer and we're doing real writing, I know that revision is incredibly important. And because I know how important it is, you get to revise your essays as many times as you want until the end of the class. So thinking about that, okay, early on, what are my grades going to be like? The grades are simply a reflection of the writing level. Is this a high school essay or is this a college essay? And where am I at the beginning and where am I going to get to by the end? Another thing you should know about this class, my section is a non-AI section. You can find sections at LCC that explore AI, that use AI, that want students to use AI. I think AI is incredibly powerful and will be a really powerful tool in the future. But right now, you need to learn to write without it. Could it eventually replace the writing process? Sure, it might. But I think about it more like a calculator. Every time I do a math problem as an adult, and I do have to do math as an adult, even as a writing professor, I use a calculator. But I didn't get to use a calculator in my formative years as I tried to understand math concepts. And to me, it's the same thing. So this is a non-AI section. I have really powerful tools. If you want to use AI or think you're going to use AI, this is not the section for you. You need to go find one of the sections where that's okay. You also need to make sure that I'm the right professor for you. I've done this long enough that I know I'm not for everybody. Okay. It's a big shift for high schoolers to think about this because I am not a teacher. To teach high school English, I have to have a bachelor's degree in English and a high school English teaching certificate, which means I had to take a ton of education classes. To be a professor, you take 0 education classes. None. I'm not a teacher. If you take chemistry in college, you're learning from a chemist. If you take history in college, you're learning from a historian. If you take writing in college, you're learning from a writer. So I'm a writer that donates my time to help other less experienced writers. You are all writers. Some of you have more experience or more ability or more maturity than others. And my job is to use my experience and skill as a writer. So I got to have a master's degree in writing to teach this class. I need to be a real writer to teach this class. I'm a writer that helps you learn how to write. I also believe that college is not for everyone. And I know this is probably verboten. I mean, this is something that should not be said, but roofing isn't for everybody. Plumbing's not for everybody. Art isn't for everybody. We can all develop skills, but we don't all choose to do so. And this kind of default, hey, everybody should go to college thing is a big mistake. You go to college to learn academic skills. One of those skills is the ability to write. And that's why you have to take this class. That's why you're choosing to take this class. As a writer, I know that writing is never done. it is just due. So I approach everything in this class as if I was a student in the class. If I'm a student in the class trying to produce an expository essay, what do I need in week 1? What do I need in week 2? I embrace the process of writing. It's an incredibly messy process. One of the most important things you're going to learn to do in this class is throw out bad ideas, even entire drafts sometimes. As a writer, I know that conversation is incredibly valuable, and that's hard in an online setting. Father meets 3 times face-to-face. It'll be almost entirely conversation-based. PW only has one ORT. It's basically an orientation. There's not a lot of chance for conversation. The LCC class that is entirely online doesn't have any meetings. So all conversation needs to be in the online environment. And that's essentially on the discussion boards. As a writer, I know that feedback is critical, but I won't give you too much. This class is not about me pointing out what's wrong with your work and you fixing it and then giving it to me and me pointing out more things. You have to be able to write without me. So it's not a test of my editing skills. So I won't give too much feedback. I also know as a writer that real writing can't be rushed. Deadlines are good. I've written some really great things the night before that still failed, but eventually became a product I was proud of. But real writing can't be rushed. I am not interested in prisoner writing. The older I get, the more my effort as an instructor matches your effort as a student. If you are writing as if you're a prisoner, as if you're still in high school and you're forced to be in class and you got to wait till the bell rings to go pee, if that's your mindset, this is not the class for you. And I'm not the guy for you. I'm interested in people who are choosing to take this class because they want to improve their writing skills. That's what I'm interested in. That's who the class is designed for. That's where my effort ends up. Robert Frost said, "No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader." So as one of America's greatest poets, he was tapping into this sense that what you're feeling as you write is what your reader is going to feel. And I've read thousands of prisoner essays by high school students. So I taught senior English at Stockbridge High School for 15 years. Had some really great writers, had some seniors that did not want to be in school anymore. And that's what it was like reading their work. I did not want to be in school anymore. That's not what this class is, and that's not how I approach it. If you want that kind of approach, you can go find those people at LCC. I'm not one of them. I said this before, but I'm going to make sure I say it again. I am not interested in AI product. I have a robust AI checker. I use AI all the time. In my class, all drafts must be written in Google Docs, and that allows me to use an AI tool that actually makes a video of your essay being crafted. It's a really powerful tool for me besides catching people who do AI. It records all cuts and pastes. It tells me how much time you worked on the essay. It records every keystroke. It's actually like me looking over your shoulder, which actually sounds kind of creepy, but it can be really useful for me as a writing instructor to see you craft your work. And of course, it speeds the video up so it doesn't take me as long to watch it as it was for you to write it. So just don't waste your time. Don't waste your time with AI. Is this the right time for you to take this class? So the college gives us some guidance. It's a 4-hour class, and it says for every credit, you're supposed to have 2 to 3 hours outside of class. I actually think it's a little less than that. So I say 6 to 8 hours outside of class at a minimum. It's mostly writing. Of course, writing to me means reading, thinking, talking, and then the actual act of writing. You really got to think every day over these next 16 weeks. I know that many of you will not become published writers. I'm going to talk a lot about why writing is critical in the college world and why the college world puts such a onus on it, why it's the currency of academia. But I believe you can learn to turn on a switch that when you need to act and think and produce like a real writer, you can do it after this class. And I'm going to ask you to turn on that switch for these 16 weeks, which is really about thinking all the time. You should be thinking about your work when you're driving. You should be thinking about your work when your football team is well, you're Fowler and PW, so you're usually killing people, right? And the game's gotten boring. You should be thinking about your work when you're waiting for the JV cross country race to get over. You should be thinking all the time about your work. You got to ask questions a lot. I'm paid to be accessible to you, and I really take that to heart. You're going to have my phone number, email. I try to respond right away. If I don't respond, it's because I'm asleep. And that's no problem. I mean, I silence my phone and then I respond when I wake up. You're making a huge mistake if we don't interact individually through the course of this class. You got to be willing to throw out bad ideas. And because of that, it takes a lot of time. There are many, many students. In fact, I would say 85% of the students to come up with 3 successful essays write 5 to 6 because some of them get tossed. Real writing takes a lot of time, and this has become more and more insightful to me as I've said it over the years. Don't treat the essays like an assignment. If you're writing this just to meet an assignment, the paper's going to suck. If you're writing because you love bow hunting and you have insight about bow hunting that other people don't understand, or you love cross country, or you've always been fascinated by the Catholic Church, or you want people to understand what it's like to have a mother with MS, and I'm actually listing essays from Fowler and PW that have been successful in the past. If you want people to know what you know and feel what you feel and believe what you believe, that's writing. If you're writing this just because it's an assignment, that's exactly what it's going to be like when I read it. And AI, first of all, AI can do that. And you could probably do that in 8th grade. So why are you spending the money on this class? It doesn't make any sense. And I am not interested in that kind of work. So if that's the kind of work you want to do, don't take my section. There are hundreds of thousands of composition teachers, and you can find one that fits you better. Okay, next I want to go over D2L. These are all areas of D2L you need to make sure you understand you can be successful in. So I'm going to switch over to D2L. This is actually, I think, the Fowler section. Is that right? Yep, this is the Fowler section. So announcements is the page you land on to get to announcements. You can go here and go to announcements. I use these to let you know something about the class. If I've put it in announcements, you're responsible for it. So I believe D2L sends you a note if there's been or an email, an alert, if there is a new announcement made. But you should check D2L daily, and I hold you responsible for this. I mean, this is where I put things, and if you don't see it, that's your fault. That's your mistake. Content. So you can see content in 2 places. You can click on it here. You can also find it underneath the content browser. These are the modules for the class. There's 5, and you're intended to go through them in order. So start with class materials, then go through the class materials in order. Then go to Essay 1. Essay 1 goes from August 22nd to September 17th. Then we go to Essay 2, then we go to Essay 3, then here's the final letter of reflection. That's the class. It's built around those 3 essays and a letter of reflection. Okay? A couple really useful tools inside of here. So when you click on the content, the modules are listed here. And here's module 1. And if you move through this in order, you'll be successful. Okay, so read the welcome letter, look at the syllabus, complete the student survey, look at these 3 things. These are all of this stuff, this class material stuff is assessed in quiz 1. So after you look at this material, you go to Essay 1, and this is the work in the order you should do it. And it's mainly videos, some readings, discussion with each other, and assignments. Now, very importantly, notice that there are 24 things posted here, but if I scroll down, there's not 24. You have to hit load more to see the whole module. Okay, I think that's a big flaw in D2L because students will finish it and they're like, oh, why aren't I done? Okay, you need to do every one of these. So watch or read, and then there'll be a quiz over what you watch or read. Here's the due date for the quiz. You can there are unlimited attempts, so you can go look at this beforehand, and you maybe won't do well on the quiz, but it'll tell you what to look for in all of these materials. Okay, there's actually a mistake on here. It's not 2 attempts. You have unlimited attempts. I've changed that so students can look at it as many times as they want, and they can do it as many times as they want. So I highly recommend that you do that. So all of the essays are set up the same way. There's a bunch of materials to watch and read. There's quizzes, and then there's postings of the process. And I have 4 steps to my process. You post expository questions, you post an outline, you post a draft. Though all 3 of those, you get some feedback from your writing group. Fowler and PW will make their own writing groups because you know each other, so we'll do that early on in the class. The LCC class, you don't all know each other. I'll put you in groups and I will post that. So you'll be working with just like 4 or 5 students. And then at the very end, you submit your final draft to me. I put a ton of comments on it. I put a grade on it. You can revise these. Okay, so even though it says final draft, you can revise this as many times as you want. And whatever the grade is by the end of the class is your grade. Okay, so I'll repeat that over and over, but that's the basic premise of the class. So there's Essay 1, Essay 2, Essay 3. You can scroll through here and see due dates, but D2L does have a really useful thing in a calendar. So you can click on this calendar and it will show all of the stuff that's due. Now, I have 3 classes, so it's showing it 3 times, but you guys will just be one of these, right? You won't be all of them. In fact, I can turn on, I'm not going to mess with that, but you'll just have one of these, like on August 27th. This is for the Fowler class. You have to post these questions. Okay. Also, it's called a widget. The widget along the side also will give you due dates. Okay. So lots of places you can see due dates. You can see what's due to make sure you're being successful in the class. There are no lates in my class. This is college. Okay. You're working full-time or you're going to school full-time. I work full-time and teach. We don't have time in our lives for stuff to be late. And there's no reason to be late. You can revise everything. So why be late? There are no lates. It's college. Welcome to the college world. You can find your grades in here. Okay. This is useful because it shows you the weights. And this is written in several places, but 65% of the grade in this class is the 3 essays and the letter reflection. So that's the majority of it. You need to do all the other work to get the other 35 points. If you don't do some of that work, it's not like you get some of the points. You have to do all of it to get any of the points. So make sure you're doing all your work. It's college. Of course you got to do all your work. It's crazy to even say that. Email, you can communicate with me in here. You can email. I also wrote my email at the end of, and you can just write me an email with Gmail if you'd like. Either one is appropriate. I also put my cell phone in here so you can text. Please don't hesitate to do that. If we ever want to meet virtually, we will do it with WebEx. So here's WebEx. You go to WebEx, and this is also where you can reach me for office hours. So I've put the first office hour up here. Let me know you're coming to office hours. Okay, office hours are Thursdays, 8 to 10 a.m. and 7 to 8 at night. But let me know you're coming. I just don't sit online waiting for students to show up. And also, we can meet outside of those times. So if those times don't work, reach out to me and we can figure out a time that works for both of us. So I've hit all of these things, right? Announcements, content, calendar, grades, WebEx, and email. Okay, let's talk about the class structure. So the class runs from Thursday to Wednesday, weekly. Um, and then you have readings and videos and quizzes over these things, and then peer response on every step in the essay. And it's really important that you recognize peer response is 27% of your grade. So if you're not giving good feedback to your classmates, you're going to fail the class. Okay, you just get 0 out of that 27. And you'll fail the class because of that. Remember, in college, you got to have at least a 70% to pass. So if you're not giving feedback, you're not going to get those 27 points. And I'm not going to give you any feedback on 1, 2, or 3. Like, you have to give feedback in this class to be successful. So make sure you're doing it. All essays can be revised if all work is done in the same Google document. I actually have a whole document explaining the essay process and the essay submission guidelines. So this won't be surprising. I just want to introduce the concept here. Writing is never done. It's just due. Real writing is revision. And you should learn that through the course of this class. So some summary of policies. There's no late work accepted. You got to complete all the peer response to get 27%. If you're not doing the work, you'll know why you're not passing. You got to complete all steps of the writing process. So one thing that can't happen is, a student wants to turn in an essay on the day of the final draft that nobody's ever seen before. That's not accepted. Okay, all essays have to go through all steps of the draft. You got to write about 4,000 words over the course of 4 projects to pass the class. So the word limits are real. The minimum word requirements are real. You can revise up until the last turn-in date, but recognize I only give you feedback, like a ton of comments and a grade, once. After that, we could talk about your draft, but I don't regrade it. I don't edit it again. You need to be able to fix it based on the comments and the conversations. And then for essay 3, I don't give comments on the draft. I only provide comments on the outline, which makes a lot of sense when you think that, okay, by the end of the class, you got to be able to do all this by yourself. That's the point. So you need to be learning from essay 1, essay 2, and applying that stuff to essay 3. And once again, essays must be drafted in a single Google Doc for each essay. So you're going to start with an outline for essay 1, and then a draft for essay 1. That's got to be in the same Google Doc so that we can see the development of it. So again, office hours, contact. Don't expect a fast response to emails in D2L. That I have to open D2L to email back. So it's better to email me directly, and it's best to text me if you're comfortable with that. I put the face-to-face meetings on here for Fowler. They're critical. Please make sure you attend. If you don't attend, I know that you're not taking the class seriously, and you're probably going to not pass. So make sure that you attend. For Poem Westphalia, we only meet once, and that makes it really, really critical. So make sure you understand the class and understand especially the nature of expository writing, because a lot of students struggle with that. So how do you get started? Go through the modules in order. Okay, so the class materials first, there's a student survey. Then you should look at all the materials up to quiz 1. So if I go to the essay 1 module, that's easier to look at in this than it is in the widget. If I go to the essay 1 module, all of this up until quiz 1 is on quiz 1, including what's in class materials. So make sure you cover that stuff and that you're paying attention, and you can be successful. Oh yeah, I should say I go by Rick, or Professor Cook. Please do not call me Mr. Cook. I know that may sound weird, but I spent 10 years as a high school principal, and while I really enjoyed it, I don't want to be a high school principal anymore. For the last 5 years, I've just solely been teaching college classes, and I'm really leaning into this part of my life towards the end of my career where I'm a professor. So I appreciate Professor or Professor Cook or Rick, not Mr. Cook, which makes me, look around for my dad. So, or gives me flashbacks to having to monitor lunch in a high school It was actually a junior high 712. So not an enjoyable thing. If you have any questions about anything on Gone Owner, if you have any concerns, if you have uh, issues that you know about that you are worried about tackling in the class, it'd be best to talk about it now and make sure we can tackle it. The student survey asks for that, but don't hesitate to reach out. You are paying for access to me, and I really respect that. I really try to provide good customer service. I'm looking forward to the class. I always enjoy helping people learn this essential skill that they need. And oftentimes, for many people, it's the first time they really feel like a writer. And that matters intensely in your success in academia. And that's what I'm here for, to help you be successful. So I look forward to the class. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.